How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to 2A News Now. And I really do appreciate you taking your time tuning into my video. And as always here at 2A News Now, you get your Second Amendment news straightforward and to the point with no BS added in. Someone has hacked into Mexico's gun database, and the leaked information shows just how bad Operation Fast and Furious really was. Before we get into that, some of you watching this might not know what Fast and Furious was, so I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory. The ATF ran a series of sting operations between 2006 and 2011 in the Tucson and Phoenix areas. And I also want to remind everybody that this happened under the watch of President Obama and then Attorney General Eric Holder. The ATF allowed licensed firearm dealers to sell weapons to illegal straw buyers, and they hoped to track the guns to Mexican drug cartel leaders and arrest them. But as of October 2011, none of the high-level cartel figures had been arrested. And here's where they really screwed up. Each weapon was equipped with a GPS unit that was installed by El Paso Intelligence Center, later purchased at a local electronics shop by the ATF. But the GPS battery life was only a few days, and the GPS weapon tracker signal was routinely lost, especially in car trunks. The lack of technical sophistication and the failure of the GPS tracker were the major reason for the Fast and Furious failure. As an ATF operation, the Fast and Furious operation involved about 2,000 firearms, and as of February 2012, only 710 of those firearms had been recovered. And guns tracked by the ATF have been found at crime scenes on both sides of the border, including at the scene where Border Control Agent Brian Terry was killed in December of 2010. Related firearms have been found at numerous crime scenes in Mexico, where at least 150 Mexican civilians were wounded or killed. There was a dispute over the release of Justice Department documents related to the scandal. And on June 28, 2012, Attorney General Eric Holder became the first sitting member of a president's cabinet to be held in contempt of Congress. And the first time in his presidency, Barack Obama invoked executive privilege in order to withhold documents that were not generated in the course of conduct of Fast and Furious. Now let's take a look at some of the information that was leaked. As I mentioned at the starting, hackers leaked the information that they had hacked from the Mexican military on straw purchases and firearms recovered in Mexico. And it shows just how bad Fast and Furious really was. The ATF allowed more than 1,000 guns across the U.S.-Mexico border. Now let's actually give some names of these straw purchasers. Craig Adelong from Texas, and he pleaded guilty in 2020 for lying on 4473 forms, indicating he was buying the firearms for himself. He purchased a total of 95 semi-automatic rifles and guns at Guns Unlimited in Katy, Texas. And he did so in 2 months, making 7 visits. And according to the leak, 66 of those firearms were found in Mexico. And also, most of you know that the Mexican government has filed a $10 billion lawsuit against multiple gun makers in the United States, claiming the firearms industry is knowingly arming cartels. But this leaked information shows that Mexico should be suing the Department of Justice and the ATF instead of firearms manufacturers in the United States. Another name that came out in the leak as one of the straw purchasers was Uriel Patino. He served a 70-month prison sentence after taking a plea deal in 2014. And listen to this, he purchased 700 guns under the watch of the ATF. And 2 Wasser 10s that Patino purchased ended up in a crime scene in Mexico in 2013. There were 2 other straw purchasers who were prosecuted for the Fast and Furious operation. Sean Christopher Stewart and Carlos Armando Celaya. Mexican police opened 4 refrigerators that were imported from the United States on June 17, 2020, and inside they discovered 54 guns, and 33 of those were tracked back to Michael Mummert of Texas. He was later sentenced to 3 years in prison. The impact of Fast and Furious is still being felt across Mexico, and I've given you a list of names of the biggest straw purchasers during Fast and Furious, and they all had been arrested and charged, and nobody in the United States government was ever charged with a crime. Not the people in the ATF that came up with this ridiculous idea. Not Eric Holder, who withheld the information from Congress. And not President Obama. And it's clear what they're doing. They want to destroy our firearms businesses, but not hold the ATF responsible for their actions. But the leaked information shows just how much damage Operation Fast and Furious has done. And instead of the ATF arresting cartel members, they actually helped the drug cartel get firearms and injure and kill innocent civilians on both sides of the border. As always, I would really like to hear your thoughts about today's video in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed today's video, and if you want to help the channel out and help it to continue to grow, all I ask for you to do is just take a few seconds of your time to like, share, and subscribe and hit those post notifications, and I really would appreciate it. And I invite you to come back and watch my next video.